The streets aren't just talking, they're screaming. Because the secret that just leaked out of the Harris household makes every Kardashian scandal look like a preschool naptime story. This right here. This is the type of drama that makes reality TV producers slam their clipboards and yell, "WHY, didn't we film that?" Because according to new whispers, receipts, and a DNA test hotter than a mixtape dropped at midnight. T.I. might have just detonated his own marriage from the inside out. For years, Tiny Harris has stood beside tip-through tours, tabloids, side-eye rumors, and enough chaos to fuel a Zeus Network spinoff. But this time the universe said, "No ma'am, not today." And handed her a truth so messy that even the shade trees started shaking. It wasn't just a rumor, not a blog guess, not a he said, she said. No, a DNA test allegedly stepped into the chat like, "Let me ruin everything real quick." And the fallout. Oh, it's catastrophic. Tiny didn't argue, didn't rant, didn't run to social media. Sis allegedly walked straight to the courthouse like a woman who finally found the last missing puzzle piece. And it revealed something she can never unsee. Buckle up. This secret is the beginning. But the divorce, that's only the explosion. The truth didn't just leak, it escaped, sprinted down the street, and jumped straight into the hands of every blog, gossip page, and nosy auntie who's been waiting years for the Harris household to slip. And when it hit the timeline, people didn't gasp, they ascended. Because never in the history of Atlanta, celebrity drama has something this explosive landed with such violent accuracy. It was like the universe finally said, "Let me expose this whole situation like a ring light on 100 brightness." For years, T.I. walked around like the self-appointed mayor of respectability politics, lecturing the internet, correcting people's grammar, and strolling through interviews like he's the philosopher king of the South. Tiny, meanwhile, moved like the backbone of the empire, loyal, soft-spoken, unproblematic, and tired. And tired in that "I've forgiven more nonsense than the Bible" type of way. They were the power couple who survived scandals, rumors, open relationship whispers, and even T.I.'s dictionary-sized monologues. But this secret? This wasn't just another bump in the road. This was the road collapsing, the bridge snapping, the GPS screaming, "Turn around before you ruin your whole life." The spark for this chaos was a DNA test. Not a paternity test for their kids. Oh no, that would have been too normal. This test was tied to a secret allegedly involving Shekinah, Tiny's longtime friend, former BFF, emotional roller coaster partner, and part-time chaos generator. The rumor shook the internet like a glitch in the Matrix. That T.I. and Shekinah, they have had something brewing behind Tiny's back. Something that allegedly left behind genetic evidence. And when that evidence surfaced, it hit the culture harder than an uninvited cousin at a family reunion. At first, nobody believed it. Shekinah, the same Shekinah who cries on live, screams during arguments, and can't whisper to save her life. The woman who has historically had the subtlety of a fire alarm. The idea of her holding on to a secret of that magnitude felt impossible. But that's exactly why the rumor spread like wildfire. Because if the loudest person in the room managed to hide something this huge, then anybody could be running undercover missions. Right under our noses. The whispers didn't come from trolls. They came from insiders, anonymous sources, and those trustworthy and trustworthy pages that somehow always get the tea before the celebrities themselves. The alleged DNA test, whether leaked, whispered, hinted, or accidentally dropped during a messy conversation, became the center of gravity. It was the smoking gun, the receipt no one expected, the final puzzle piece that turned Tiny from ride or die to "I'd rather ride alone." Tiny handled the revelation with the kind of silence that scares men more than yelling. She didn't post petty subs, didn't drag anybody, didn't unfollow Tip on Instagram like a teenager having a meltdown. Sis allegedly processed the information quietly, calmly, and with the emotional efficiency of a woman who has already forgiven too much in this lifetime. When she walked into the courthouse, well, she wasn't angry, she was done. And that level of composure is more terrifying than any argument ever could be. Meanwhile, T.I. acted like the allegations were beneath him. Sources claimed he was dismissive, brushing it off with that classic tip vocabulary. You know, the one where he turns a simple sentence into a TED Talk and tries to sound like a cross between Malcolm X and a college professor. But this time, nobody was moved. Not Tiny, not the internet. Not even the blogs that usually spin for him. For once, the world wasn't distracted by his dictionary. They wanted answers. As news of the DNA test spread, fans immediately split into camps. Camp I believed every word because, let's be honest, T.I. has a history of acting like women owe him emotional labor. Camp 2 thought it was a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. Camp 3 didn't care about facts, they were here strictly for the jokes. And Camp 4. They were already writing essays on relationship boundaries and betrayal. Even though they didn't know anybody involved personally, the shockwaves were immediate. Old clips resurfaced, interviews, reality show episodes, moments where Shekinah defended T.I. too passionately, spoke too loudly, or acted too uncomfortable around Tiny. Those clips were suddenly being dissected like evidence in a crime documentary. Every side I became suspicious. Every giggle turned sinister. Every argument between Tiny and Shekinah now looked like it was fueled by deeper betrayal and the timing. Horrific. The Harris family has been under intense scrutiny for months between King's meltdowns, public outbursts, and T.I.'s growing frustration with social media. They were already riding a wave of chaos, and this DNA test served as the tsunami that swallowed everything in sight. It was the scandal nobody predicted, yet everyone instantly believed. A perfect storm of betrayal, speculation, and receipts vague enough to be dangerous, but detailed enough to go viral. What made the situation worse was how fast the streets connected dots. Shekinah and Tiny fell out years ago dramatically, tears, screaming, exposing each other online. Back then, nobody knew the source of the fallout. People assumed it was jealousy, pride, or reality TV dramatics. But suddenly, the internet crawled back to those moments with magnifying glasses, analyzing every syllable like it was coded intel. And what did they find? Tension, accusations, emotional cracks that now looked a lot like fallout from betrayal. The speculation grew legs, arms, and a gym membership. Blogs started dropping timelines. Fans created charts. TikTok detectives stitched videos with dramatic music like they were solving a cold case. The rumor consumed the culture instantly because it hit all the pressure points: celebrity, marriage, friendship, betrayal, DNA evidence, and T.I.'s reputation for controlling narratives. Through all this, Tiny stood silent. And in celebrity culture, silence is louder than a press conference. People swore she had a folder of receipts locked away like the Beyoncé vault. Others believed she was protecting her peace after years of emotional gymnastics. Her silence became the soundtrack of the scandal. And every hour she didn't speak only strengthened the narrative that the secret was real. An unforgivable dot by the time the paperwork was filed. The internet was already planning Tiny's next chapter: solo career, Tello interview, revenge, glow-up era, all of it. Meanwhile, T.I. looked like a man trying to solve a puzzle that had been missing pieces for years. The marriage wasn't bleeding, it flatlined. But the truth? This was only the beginning of the explosion. The moment Tiny's divorce filing hit the internet, the world didn't just react, it short-circuited. Phones froze. Timelines jammed. Blogs posted so fast they probably sprained a thumb. Because this wasn't just celebrity gossip anymore. This was a digital earthquake. And the aftershocks were felt from Atlanta to TikTok, to that one auntie who doesn't even follow celebrities but knows every rumor before sunrise. The first wave of reactions came from fans who'd been watching Tip and Tiny's marriage like a long-running TV series. Some people were shocked, typing nitrogen monoxide way in all caps like their keyboards were screaming. Others said finally, as if they'd been waiting for this moment since the family hustle era. Then there were the petty ones, the ones who treat celebrity breakups like Super Bowl halftime shows. They were posting GIFs, memes, celebratory confetti. And Beyoncé to the left edits like they were hired by Tiny herself. And then, the Shekinah memes hit. Lord have mercy. Someone photoshopped her holding a Maury envelope. Another posted her crying on live with the caption, "When you realize the DNA is yours." TikTok creators reenacted fake scenes of her running from paparazzi. Even people who had nitrogen monoxide idea what the story was about were suddenly experts, stitching every video with reactions like NAH. This is wild. The internet turned Shekinah into the main character, even though she wasn't talking, wasn't posting, wasn't breathing near the situation. Silence didn't save her. It made her trend harder. Celebrities started chiming in because nothing pulls them out of hiding like a marriage collapsing in real time. Tamar Braxton posted something suspiciously vague that fans immediately tied to the divorce. NeNe Leakes jumped in with a "Woo Chili," which is basically the national anthem of messy situations. Even 50 Cent slid in with a petty emoji. 50 Cent slid in with a petty emoji. Because he cannot resist chaos if his life depended on it. But the twistiest twist came when old clips of Shekinah and Tiny resurfaced clips that suddenly looked like deleted scenes from a betrayal documentary. Their old arguments had new meaning. Their old tears felt heavier. And those moments where Shekinah defended T.I. just a little too aggressively. Oh, the internet slow-moed those clips like they were dissecting the Zapruder film. Every blink, every tone shift. Every awkward laugh now felt like evidence, as the meme storm intensified. T.I. tried to maintain some kind of dignity online, but dignity is the first thing to die in a cheating scandal. Everything he posted, even unrelated motivational quotes, turned into a battlefield. Fans were in his comments demanding explanations, DNA receipts, apologies, press conferences, and sometimes complete silence depending on which side they were on. And if that wasn't chaotic enough, King Harris decided to enter the chat with his usual "I don't care what y'all say" energy. He didn't directly address the scandal, but his random posts got dragged into the storyline anyway. People were commenting, "Your dad wilding?" under photos of him eating lunch. He couldn't breathe online without someone tying it back to the DNA mess. His siblings tried to stay out of it, but good luck. The internet drags everybody when a celebrity household blows up. Then, another twist dropped like a meteor. Leakers claiming the DNA test wasn't just evidence. It was confirmation of a secret Tiny had long suspected. Whether true or not, that rumor spiraled out of control. Suddenly, every blog claimed an exclusive. Some said the test proved intimacy. Others said it proved secrecy. A few dramatic pages claimed it connected T.I. and Shekinah in a way Tiny couldn't forgive. No one could agree on the details. But the vagueness made it even more dangerous. Public outrage grew like wildfire. Fans who once defended T.I. turned on him instantly. People accused him of betrayal, manipulation, ego, hypocrisy, and everything in between. Every motivational speech he ever gave was now being mocked with, "Sir, fix your house first." Interviews where he lectured people about relationships were dragged with timestamps, clips, and side-by-side reactions. Pop culture commentators compared the scandal to Tristan Thompson, Derek Jackson, and Will Smith's emotional trauma era all rolled into one. Tiny, meanwhile, became an overnight symbol of strength. People posted edits of her glowing, strutting, leaving toxicity behind. Everyone was rooting for her. Fans were tweeting things like, "Tiny about to enter her Stella got her groove back era, and sis is about to drop the coldest revenge season of all time." Women everywhere started calling her an inspiration, a quiet, classy woman who tolerated years of mess and finally said, "Enough." The Shekinah chaos got even worse when fans started digging through their messy friendship history. Clips where she accused Tiny of mistreating her. Clips where Tiny accused her back. Clips where Shekinah cried. Clips where Tiny rolled her eyes. Suddenly, every moment looked like emotional foreshadowing. People said the universe had been dropping hints like a Netflix trailer. The final escalation came when insiders claimed the divorce wasn't emotional, it was strategic. Some said Tiny had been gathering receipts quietly for months. Others claimed lawyers had been involved before the rumor even leaked. There were whispers of a prenup clause, financial arrangements, and long-term consequences that could shake the whole Harris empire by this point. The drama wasn't just viral, it was cultural currency. The blogs updated every hour. YouTubers filmed 3 videos a day. TikTokers acted out imaginary phone calls between Tiny and Shekinah. People were conducting relationship autopsies like licensed marriage coroners. Even the aunties in group chats were talking about it like they were directly involved. The noise grew so loud that a new wave of speculation began. What happens next? Would T.I. speak? Would Tiny expose more? Would Shekinah snap and hop on live for 3 hours straight? Would the DNA test have deeper implications? Would this tear apart the Harris family permanently? The timeline was begging for answers, hunting for clues, and refreshing for the next update, because everyone could feel it. The aftermath didn't arrive quietly. It kicked down the door, snatched the wig off the situation, and dragged the entire Harris empire across the internet. Divorce rumors are normal in Hollywood, but this wasn't a rumor anymore. This was paperwork. Real, official, governance-stamped paperwork. And when the public realized Tiny wasn't playing around, the narrative shifted instantly from shock to analysis, to full-blown autopsy mode. People weren't asking what happened anymore. They were asking, what does this mean? Suddenly, T.I.'s entire legacy was on the operating table. His marriage, his public image, his motivational quotes, all of it. Every clip where he lectured people about loyalty was now being roasted on Twitter like leftovers in the microwave too long. Fans were quoting him sarcastically. Expeditiously, fix your marriage, sir. Even his interviews aged like unripe fruit. Nothing he'd said over the years felt the same anymore. Meanwhile, Tiny became a walking testimony of patience finally snapping in half. Her silence after filing wasn't weakness, it was power. The type of power that terrifies men who rely on controlling the narrative. The type of silence that says, I know more than you think. The streets started saying Tiny didn't file from hurt. She filed from clarity. She filed like a woman who looked at the whole picture and decided she could paint a better future without the chaos. And Shekinah. Phew! Her reputation took a turn so dramatic it deserves its own documentary. Even without speaking, she became a symbol of betrayal folklore. People dug up old lives, old tears, old arguments, trying to decode every syllable she ever cried out. Some fans defended her, saying the DNA rumors were exaggerated. Others dragged her like she was the main villain in a superhero movie. And the worst part? The silence was making everything worse. When the loudest person goes quiet, the world assumes the guilt is loud enough for her. The Harris kids felt the ripple too. Social media suddenly turned them into unwilling participants. Any post, a selfie, a meme, a random quote instantly became part of the storyline. People commented, "Stay strong. Your dad Wilden, your mom deserves better." And a few who thought they were helping said way too much. King tried to stay unbothered, but he couldn't post a haircut without someone saying, "This ain't the time." Even his attempt at normalcy became meme fodder. Behind the scenes, insiders said the divorce filing caused a domino effect inside the family. Friends picked sides. Business partners grew nervous. PR teams went into survival mode. Contracts got reevaluated. Publicists prepared statements nobody wanted to release yet. The Harris empire, built on music, hustle, and a carefully crafted image, suddenly felt like it was sitting on a stool with one leg missing. T.I. tried to regain control. Some sources claimed he was furious. The rumors were spreading without context. Others said he felt blindsided by Tiny's silence. But his attempts at controlling the conversation didn't land the way they used to. This time, people weren't listening to the philosopher version of Tip. They were looking for accountability. And accountability has never been his favorite language. As the smoke settled, another twist appeared. Rumors that Tiny had evidence beyond the DNA situation. Screenshots? Messages? Confessions? Nothing confirmed. But the whispers alone cracked open new speculation. People began theorizing that the DNA test was the breaking point, not the beginning. The internet built timelines of emotional erosion, saying Tiny probably endured years of subtle betrayals, disrespect, and secrets before reaching her limit. The divorce wasn't impulsive, it was overdue. Public perception transformed Tiny into a cultural icon. Women began posting her photos with captions like, "Know your worth, never settle." And when she's quiet, she's done. Tiny went from reality star to spiritual lesson in the span of 24 hours. Even celebrities who used to stay out of the Harris drama started quietly liking posts about women leaving toxic marriages. Support was coming in silently but strongly. Meanwhile, the blogs kept digging. Every old interview resurfaced. Every rumor resurrected. Every awkward moment between Tiny and Shekinah returned with fresh meaning. And each new angle made the story deeper, darker, more complicated. The scandal was evolving from gossip to a cultural event, something people would remember years from now as one of the biggest celebrity plot twists in Atlanta history. Then the legal speculation began. Lawyers started analyzing possible outcomes. Would Tiny get more assets? Would they battle for royalties? Would their businesses be split? Would the divorce expose secrets neither of them wanted public? The possibilities created a cloud of uncertainty over their entire empire. Divorce is messy for regular people, for celebrities with decades of intertwined finances. It's a hurricane disguised as paperwork. The emotional toll hit harder than the legal one. Whether the rumors were fully true or exaggerated, one thing was clear. Trust had died long before the divorce was filed. And once trust evaporates, everything else feels like smoke. Fans watched Tiny's glow up in real time. She looked lighter, calmer, almost relieved. Meanwhile, T.I. looked tense, irritated, and increasingly cornered by the narrative he couldn't manipulate. And the cultural conclusion became unavoidable. This wasn't just a marriage ending. This was an empire cracking. This was an empire cracking. This was a legacy shifting. This was the collapse of a couple the world thought could survive anything. But the final twist, the whispers that more secrets are coming, bigger, messier, deeper people close to the situation hinted that the DNA scandal was only phase one. And suddenly, everyone wanted to know if a single test could shake a 20-year marriage. And if you thought that was wild, trust me, this story is just warming up. Because whenever a celebrity marriage collapses under a DNA bombshell, you already know the universe is somewhere rubbing its hands like, oh, y'all want sequels? And on this channel, we don't miss a single plot twist. We break it down, throw glitter on it, and serve it piping hot with extra seasoning. But before you dive into the comments to argue, theorize, or write a whole dissertation about T.I. Tiny and Shekinah's spiritual contract gone wrong, do me one simple favor. Smash that like button like it owes you child support. Hit subscribe the way Tiny hit that courthouse door, confidently and with no hesitation. And turn on notifications unless you enjoy being the last person to find out when another celebrity's life catches fire. Now listen, I need y'all in the comments today. Drop your theories. Drop your predictions. Drop your most unhinged. I think what really happened was explanations. Who do you believe? Tiny the warrior? T.I. the philosopher? Shekinah the wild card? Or the DNA test, the real villain of the story? I'm reading every comment like I'm reviewing evidence for trial. Because over here at Expose Express, we don't just watch scandals, we investigate them. We breathe them. We marinate in them like drama-seasoned experts. And with the way Hollywood is acting lately, baby, the next explosion is already loading. It's not if, it's when, and when it hits, you better be here. So subscribe, stay messy, stay curious, and keep your eyes glued to the screen. Because the next secret, it might make this one look like a warm dash up. Expose Express signing out with the tea still boiling.